With AusGIS, you'll probably be displaying map data that you've downloaded from the internet. And the most likely source of data for you will be data that you download from the government department in your country that conducts the census. There could well be another government department around that produces more standard type GIS data, and you may be interested in downloading data such as roads or city locations or something that you might use to enhance your maps. I'm planning to do a series of videos which give you examples of downloading data, because you'll find the map data you get is often not quite right, so you might have to do a little bit of fiddling with it. So as a first example, here's downloading data from the Australian Bureau of Statistics, who are the organisation who produced the census in Australia. And they have available packages that they call data packs. And here's an example. We're going to do the latest census available. They have several types of data available, and we'll just do the common census one. And one of the major decisions you'll have to make when you're downloading data is what type of geography you want, because the data is often available at various levels and various types of polygons. So postal areas, for example, are pretty useful if you've got your own database of people, your clients, voters, customers, the unemployed, or whatever you're interested in. If you've got a database, then you've probably got the people's addresses from which you can extract the postcode, zip code from, and accumulate up on that, and then you can map it on some postal areas map. Now, in this case, what I'm going to use is a statistical area at level 3, which is there's sort of a nice number of them to do a map of Australia. And having done that, I can download data. I've done it for the whole of Australia, and I get a zip file down, and I can also download the equivalent boundary files. Now, the data you'll find from just about all census bureaus around the place comes in pretty standard forms. In the case of the census data itself, the attribute data, you'll find that it's usually in a spreadsheet in comma separated values. The geographic data is now typically in a couple of formats, the Esri shape files or MapInfo map input interchange format. And in this case, I've downloaded the geography as MapInfo. So if we have a look at this data, what I've got sitting here now is a couple of census tables, which are as comma separated values, and I've also got the boundary data as MIF and MID files, which are the format for MapInfo. So if we have a look at our some of the census data, here's one which is an income, and the spreadsheets to go into AusGIS have to be in a fairly simple format, which is that the first column is the names of the areas you're looking at, so it might be census districts or states or whatever. In this case, it's the statistical area level 3 codes, so here are all the codes, and then in all the other columns we have census data. So it's income here of somebody aged 15 to 19 years, and so on for all different variables in the columns. One thing we do require in AusGIS is that this first row has the titles of with the names of each variable, and also you'll have to insert typically another row after that in which you give the units of the data. So this table, the units are all dollars per week. So in this statistical area, the average for people aged 25 to 34 years is $1,000 a week. Okay, and I've also got another table here, which is more typical census counts, and it's the total population. So the total number of men or males in this code is that, for example. And once again, we've got the titles across the top, and these are rather cryptic. They're what's come with the data, and I've inserted after that the units we require. Now these the descriptions, the titles or whatever for the variables have got a maximum length of 30 characters. That's what appears on your map. And if you're serious here, you're probably going to type in something that sort of means a bit more here. And the units you put in, units have got a maximum of 10 characters, and they appear on the legend on the map. Okay, so that's our so-called attribute data, our census data, and let's put up our AusGIS system and import it into AusGIS. So we import, and we're going to import the census data, which are attribute files. They're in a comma delimited format. So in we go, and I've got it sitting in on this over here, and the format is comma delimited, and here are all the comma delimited ones I've got. So the first one is we'll put in as the income one, which we had fixed up with those extra units and so on, and that's the input. And then it asks you for the name of the internal attribute file, so I'll just take the default there, and you can put in a title for the file, and something. Okay, and now it's been put into the system. So we'll now put our second attribute file in. That's comma delimited again, and that one was the income, but we'll now do the population one. Use the default name again, and it's population or something. You of course will put something meaningful in there, and now we've got our two attribute files in the system. Now what we also have here in this in our directory of downloaded data was the MIF and MID files, which are the boundary data in MapInfo format. So we can import that into the system, and in this case it's going in as a geographic file, and it's MapInfo MIF and MID files, and the first one we want is our MIF file, which is this one, and it then wants the second file, the MID file, same thing, and we'll just use the default name file and save that, and a title Australia level 3 something. Now it wants to know where in the geographic data those names are for the areas, and it's typically in column 1, and now we're inputting some data. Okay, our data's in now, and we've now got all our files we need to display our Australian map. Now we've got two attribute files, so perhaps we'll try something like a bivariate map, And to do that, what we want to do is use a bivariate device file. So we'll take any of these. Okay, and now we can produce our map, bivariate zones, for our two attribute files, and we'll choose income as the first attribute file, population as the second attribute file, and then our geographic file is there, and away we go. Here we can now draw our map using the map data we've downloaded and using the attributes, which was census data. And there it is, and probably not very meaningful. Now you will notice that on the legend we've got our units, dollars per week, and our units as miles here, and the attribute names at the top are the names of the columns in the original data. So as I said, it's really worth probably typing in something realistic at least for the columns you're going to use, and then we can do other things like change the attributes and so on, and flick through those, and there we are with 20 and 20 to 24, or 25 to 34, and so on. So there you have it, how to enter data and display it on a map. Now of course we can go to the top menu, and we could do go to another device file, say, and choose a just a standard single variate device file, and then we can do a map, just a normal map, say, and we'll Australia, we'll do, say, the income data, and for the map we put in, and here we go again, and it's a standard Choropleth map. Okay, and we're displaying our polygons. Now the thing you'll notice here is that the display is quite slow. And why is it slow? It's slow because if we have a look at the file we've put in, the geographic file is quite large, and really when you look at this, you've got quite a lot of data that's being overlaid in very small areas, so you really don't need high resolution data files. So we can use some of our features, such as preparation for data files, and we can process geographic files, and what we can do is simplify the data. Now and so we simplify our geographic file, comes in, asks you the name of it, so it's let's call it the same name, only we'll call it thinned. Now what we do is we drop points according to the resolution we want on the screen, so defaults to about 1024. So here we go, and we're now processing our various data. There's no segments in the thing, but we have got polygons, so it's give it a name, and we can now go back and do well, first of all, let's have a look, see what we've got here now. This is the original one is pretty big, and we now look at the thinned one, and it's a fraction of the size, so hopefully it'll display a lot faster. So we can go back and do a map, display our zones again, use population, say, And now we'll use the thin map, and you'll notice it's displaying considerably faster than it was before. We're still hesitating a bit because I haven't got much memory on my poor little laptop. So and then the other things such as the next sequential attribute, and away we go. Flick through the data. Now I will point out that thinning of polygons like this is not very good. However, if this is all you want to do, then it's probably quite adequate. But we'll talk in a later video about how you can do the thinning properly and by extracting the line segments. Okay, well, I think that's probably about the first example.